welcome to Estate Agency Mastery Season 4, Episode 1 with Sian-Louise. This series is all about mindset, routines, habits. It's not kind of estate agency specific, but it's some of the best agents that I know talking about what they do differently to be elite top level performers. So Sian, that was an intro, wasn't it? She's looking at me now going, whoa! I know, right? What? You talked in the last podcast about your morning routine, and then you were building on like, I do this, I do that, a time block. I'm a huge geek on routines and sleep and all sorts of things to make your performance the best it can be. If you're watching this as an agent, whether you're employed, self-employed, doesn't matter, but you want to improve your output, share with us some of the deep, dark things that you do to perform at the level that you constantly show up at.
It is so routine based. So, you know, having a daily routine, having a structure, working out, moving your body, getting things out of your system physically as well as mentally. I have a therapist. There's so many things that I do as an individual that would be seen as a lot of self-help. But when I'm the best version of myself, then I'm the best version of myself in my business and I'm the best mum at home.
Is that a goal of yours to constantly be the best version of yourself?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say to people that look at that and go, it's a bit American, it's a bit ignorant, it's a bit, because you just came out and said it, right? And I often say it, and I can sometimes see people like roll their eyes or be like, what a knobhead. And you might argue that's just me, I'm sure. But why is that important? Like, why? Why do you commit to that? Why do you put that out to the universe?
There's something I have in me that is just like this innate need to grow and to like breed success and to just, I just see, I'm like always running this like crazy race and I've always felt that way. So when I look at myself, you know, today versus where I was 5 years ago, the growth is like astronomical. But that's because 5 years ago, I decided I wanted to be the best version of myself every day, right? And not just 5 years ago, but you get the picture with that. You know, if I look at myself today versus 10 years, 15 years ago, some would say like it's not trying to over-egg it, but it's not normal. You know, when I was in the corporate space, I continually grew and was continually promoted and, you know, things like that. I'm like clugging away at life in a sense of I'm just always pushing to move forward and always pushing to be better tomorrow than I was today.
100%. I think as you were saying that and you mentioned the corporate piece, I think the thing that I see day in, day out, and you must see it as well, is guys or girls that they're in the corporate side businesses, they work 7 till 7, they don't see their kids, they don't get to the gym, they're out of shape, they're mentally frazzled, but they're going, oh, well, I'm on a really, really good dough and I get my next car and I might make X manager, but it's not sustainable. And that's why, listen, I love the brokerages models and, that are getting out there, but I think the biggest thing as agents we need to do is look after ourselves. So the gold I am after is, and thank you, because you didn't know this was coming. You didn't know this was coming at all.
This is the wild card.
This is no, you're the wild card. What I want some gold, right? So for example, I don't go on my phone for the first half an hour every day. I just will not do it. I track my sleep on various things where I'm a geek on so much stuff. But what's the gold? What are a couple of things that you do that, again, younger Sian, if you could go back 5-10 years and go, do this, it will help you get there so much quicker. What are the habits that you have?
I think I'm really gonna sound quite weird after saying what I'm gonna say. I don't think
you could sound even more weird than when you got here. It's fine.
I have a real thing about enjoying my life. As much as I work really hard and as much as I'm always doing something, I have a real thing about joy in those things. So when I wake up in the morning, before I open my eyes, I will lay there and smile. And I force myself to start my day with a smile. Even on a day I feel horrendous, I force myself to lie there and smile until I start to feel the effects of that smile go through my body. My little one will then more than likely get in bed with me, and I will lie there and I will cuddle her, and we won't even necessarily say anything, but we just feel that human connection, and then I start my day.
That's beautiful. I do something very similar where as I put my feet down, I say thank you, and I try and just say, well, I'll always 3 things I'm grateful for, and I'm the same with my daughters. The first thing we do before bed and at night is gratitude. They call it grateful fors, and it frames the mind, right? And I see this certainly because you deal internationally with different time zones and stuff, where you want to race to get your phone, and whatever message you have on your phone usurps your day, sets your tone or tonality for the day. So, deal agreed, great, Sian, you were brilliant, brilliant. Versus we're pulling out, there's damp, whatever. You're in a shit mood straight away, and as a self-employed agent or a business owner, whatever, you have to protect that moment, because otherwise it will compound, and I'll be an arsehole for the rest of the day if I let something wrong compound.
I think that also comes with growth though, right? Because in terms of like the deals and other people affecting my mood, definitely used to affect my mood a lot more than it does now. Obviously, if I have a big deal that falls through the day before it exchanges, I'm not going to feel fantastic about that, but it's not going to be a disaster, right? Which I would say at the very infancy stage of my career, it would have been an absolute disaster. And everyone would have known that I had that deal that fell through, right? I've really learned over the years, I've been doing this nearly 10 years now. I've really learned over the years, the deal's never done until it's signed, sealed. And even at that point, until the money's in your account with your commission and you've been paid, then you can breathe and, the deal's done. So until that point, I'm not mentally celebrating anything. I'm just chugging away. And I think that really helps me to keep quite level-headed about everything, controlling my emotions around all the external things that can happen in our day-to-day has really been a huge factor of helping me elevate my success.
So how do you celebrate the wins?
I'd probably take my daughter to ramen. Like, I'm really low key as well with the celebrations, because being someone who is the only source of income for my household, there's a lot more pressure on me to keep the money sustainable, right? Yeah. So if I have a huge deal, which, there's been times I've had huge deals with huge commission checks, I'm not going in splashing and buying a designer handbag and going shopping. I will celebrate and take my daughter for dinner, and then we'll put the money away for the rainy day. Or I'm investing it back into, I've been doing a renovation. I've still not completed that fully. So it's like I will invest the money into things that I know I'll get money out of in the longer term, rather than splash it on the wrong things, because you never know when your next deal is going to be there.
That's some solid advice. Okay, so waking up and choosing your state, what else do you do that people might find crazy?
Let your hair down when you want to let your hair down. I was someone who used to let my hair down by going to the club.
Say that again, sorry? I think the sound guy missed that.
By going to the club. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. But the club is in my car. I don't know if you noticed when you got in my car earlier today that I had Cardi B on, and I will fully let my hair down in the appropriate moments. A lot of the time I'm on calls with clients in the car, but if I get 5 minutes where I can blare the music and forget about everything and, just be me for a second, I think that definitely also helps to break up my day and break up my time, because we're always on, right? I'm always in touch with pretty much every time zone, right? I have clients who I was in the UAE last week, so I was in Dubai. I was talking to a client who was in Mexico. We were then in a group chat with someone who was in London. So every single person in that conversation is running at different times in the day, and that's what my phone is like. At whatever point, it doesn't stop. It can be nighttime for us, but it's morning for someone else. So just having 5 minutes to blare your music in the car or read a book before I go to bed, like that is something that I think is kind of sacred 5 minutes of my day that really helps me to keep this life sustainable.
So what's your evening routine?
My evening routine is I'll have a couple of hours where I'm quite lax on my phone. I'm never, as I said, never fully off, but I'll be doing dinner with my daughter. I'll be doing homework with my daughter and bath time routine, bedtime routine, etc. So for those couple of hours, my focus is her, despite work being in the background.
Yep.
I then pick up work again and I'll do some more work for some hours. And then I will have probably a time where I should be going to sleep, but I will maybe watch a Love Island.
So, you say again? I think the sound went.
Or something of that vicinity.
Just mindless shite to
switch my mind off. You know, when I'm not watching said program, I will be reading a book or I'll be doing something to mentally switch off. And then I'm a huge fan of magnesium, so I'll take magnesium before I go to bed.
Okay.
And then I'm out for a count.
If you don't take the magnesium, do you notice the impact on sleep?
I still sleep. I never struggle to sleep. If I sat here for long enough, I could close my eyes and fall asleep. Like I sleep very easily. But I also have cats and I live in a period conversion.
Okay.
So there's external noises. So my sleep will be disturbed if I don't take magnesium. If I take magnesium, I'm pretty much out for the evening.
How long do you sleep a night?
Not enough.
What's not enough?
5 hours.
Is that sustainable?
5-6 hours. It has been sustainable for the last however many years.
Okay. You mentioned moving your body. Do you hit the gym in the morning? What do you do? Do you rollerblade? Do you dance? What's your thing?
Skate. Do you know that?
No, I actually had no idea.
I skate with my little one. But
I was really good at rollerblading, by the way.
Really?
I'd like to think I was. I don't know if I was actually good. I could do the ramps and stuff.
I'll wait for the footage.
Yeah,
and then
they didn't have cameras then. It was that long ago. Not even black and white ones.
No, it's like, I will walk as much as I can instead of getting in my car. I'll make sure that I'm definitely, if I can do the school run in the morning where we're walking to school instead of driving to school, it's that kind of thing. My gym is the only thing that is frustrating in my day at the moment, where I used to do the school drop off and go to the gym straight away. I've fallen out of that routine, which I'm struggling with. But at the moment, it's when I have the time in the day, that's when I'll then do my routine. And if it's, I'm doing it after bedtime and I'm then having a home workout instead of physically going to the gym, that's when I will do it. But for me, I used to be a dancer, I used to be an actor, I used to be a performer. So from when I was 3 years old, I was in ballet classes. So I've always moved my body and it's been a really therapeutic thing for me. So if I don't work out, it affects my mental health a lot more
100%.
than probably your normal person would.
Yeah, 100%. I think if I don't get it in like 4 or 5 times a week, I'm just grumpy. Okay. That's pretty much it. Bar, I think there's something you're holding back from us. Maybe. What is something else that you do that is to protect your mindset or to grow this? I don't care where we take this episode, but something that if the listeners listen to it, go, wow, okay, I should try that, or that's brilliant. And it could be little as blocking your 10 minutes for reading or listen to podcasts or following this podcast. Little plug, available on all platforms. Please like and follow and share.
Oh my gosh.
I sound like Stephen Bartlett, don't I? Shall I do the interruption? Hi guys. Now, if you're one of the many people that follow, we couldn't have got Sian on without all those follows. What would it be? How do you invest in yourself outside of everything you've said?
There's a certain time where I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which is when I'm in my bed, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. It is closer to me than it should be. I would say that my strictest thing is I'm like super passionate about no negativity. And I would rather have no one in my circle and just run on my crazy, like, I'm going to be successful and I'm, you know, all these positive things that I want from my life, I'd rather have no one in my immediate circle than have someone close to me who's negative or thinks their cup's always half full than half empty.
How did you go about cutting people out of your life that were negative?
It happened quite naturally. It's something that like I left school and I cut a lot of people straight away from leaving school because we were just in different mindsets. And that's back when I was 16, right? So I've always just been aware that, and don't get me wrong, you know, like I've got my best friend is someone who I met when I was 12 at school, right? So there's definitely like people who stay in my life for the long term. I would say the majority of my friends I've been friends with for over 10 years. However, there's people in my life who I met a year ago, 2 years ago, and they're also very close, right? It's just a mindset thing. And as people grow, evolve in life, when other people maybe aren't evolving in the same way, instead of clinging on to that person because they've been my friend for 15 years, it's been a respectfully, I love you, but I can love you from afar. And I haven't necessarily had to break up with these friends. You know, it hasn't necessarily been that, but it's relationships are always two ways. And if I've noticed that we're maybe not on the same or don't have the same mindset, same trajectory in life, it's going to sound bad, but I've not then actively pursued that relationship.
I don't think it does sound bad. There's that whole phrase, you're the sum of the five people you hang around the most, right? So I've certainly in the last few years changed that five, and some of those are family members and whatever else. I won't go into it, but I've realized that in order for me to be the best version of me, I need to surround myself with people that are big thinkers, growth orientated, but they're not going to be moaning about the neighbors or on the Facebook or just spending that time in negativity. Everything is value add or growth mindset. And it's not an easy place to get to. And I don't think I'm fully there, but I know that's the path I want to be on. But it is hard cutting people.
Do you know, I think it's I've always been quite different to my circles initially. Like when I was at school, I was going to performing arts school every day after school, which made me different to my friends, right? So I always have had something else going on. When I had my daughter, I was the first one out of all of my friends who had a child. So all of my close friends who had a child. So it's like that instantly puts you in a different place to other people. So the shedding as such of relationships has naturally evolved and I've just allowed it to.
Makes sense. Final question for me. If you ever find yourself going to a negative headspace or becoming negative, because it can happen, right? How do you quickly snap out of that?
I work out the source of the issue as to why I've got into that headspace in the first place. And a lot of the time it will be my home life. So if I feel like I haven't been as present for my child, that is the thing that will make me go into a negative headspace. So, you know, get outside, touch some grass, play with your kids, go and get a massage, go and do something that is going to make you feel good again. And just remember that, you know, you may have a bad day today, but tomorrow can be a better day.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap, folks.